Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Vandy Blitz. Today, we are talking about what I think is the most exciting, or at least one of the most exciting topics of the entire year, and that is the NBA Finals. We've just seen, a thrilling, yet, some might say sadder version of the playoffs with all the injuries we're experiencing, but I like the playoffs, and it was very competitive. We saw a lot of great series, and now we are down to the Suns and the Bucks in the finals. Game one is tonight. Lots to talk about, lots to say about both teams. You know what, Wilf? I see you moving around, getting Nancy to talk. Let's hear your thoughts on this series, man.
Definitely. I think it's exciting that both teams haven't seen a championship for 50 years. I don't know if the Suns have never won and the Bucks haven't won since Abdul-Jabbar was there. Think about the times. A lot has changed since 1967 or 1970. And my storyline for this game is going to be Drew Holiday and their backcourt versus Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Something really exciting, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, I think the Suns have a better backcourt, but the Bucks traded everything for Drew Holiday. So it's going to be really exciting to see can he match up against that backcourt, and I think it's going to be a really, really fun series.
And what adds another level to that, because you're right. I mean, I think there's a little, there's another interesting element of this game that I want to touch on, but going to the backcourts really quickly. The Bucks, when they did acquire Drew Holiday, one of the other big names that was circulating around was Chris Paul. Chris Paul didn't know where he was going to go yet. He wasn't on the Suns yet. And Milwaukee was definitely like a talked about landing zone. I don't know if you guys remember all those rumors, but that was where Chris was said to go, and the Bucks had a chance at him, but they went all in on Drew Holiday. So I think specifically the Drew versus CP matchup is going to be really interesting to watch, because if CP really cooks Drew, which, maybe I'm biased. Drew's not getting cooked. I don't think Drew's going to get cooked like that. But if CP dramatically outplays him, that's a big regret for the Bucks, because they could have possibly had the guy across the floor. But I think you're right. I think maybe less so backcourts, but more so perimeter scoring oriented. Like, I think Devin Booker, Chris Paul versus Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday is going to be an important matchup. And then it's going to be like Giannis versus the front court if he can play. And then that'll be – go ahead, Joe.
My thoughts are this too, though. Like, I hate to say it now. I mean, I hate to say it, but the offense in this league is just so talented, just in general. I think that when guys are just on offensively, Drew Holiday very well could get cooked. I mean, like, you look at CP, like, let's say he's like just taking those fadeaway shots from the elbow over and over and over again. Like, if he's on from those shots, there's just nothing you can do to stop him.
But you could say the same thing about Drew. Drew's been going for 28, 30-point games in this playoffs. And if he's on, he's not even just an offensive weapon, but he's also going to bring it on the defensive side of the court and, be that guy that bothers Chris Paul. Because I don't think, regardless of what, I think you're right. Devin Booker could drop 40. Chris Paul could drop 25 and 11. And, while they're being guarded with amazing defense, but certainly not going to be easy for them. With Drew on here.
It's all about Antetokounmpo. Sorry, I was just going to quickly say it's all about Antetokounmpo there, because with Antetokounmpo there, they're way more dynamic. And without that, I think the Suns win those types of battles.
Yeah, I agree. And I think without Giannis, you lose that I think a little bit of the transition element that you would get with him being on the court.
Yeah.
I wonder who is going to match up with Aiden in this game. Who's
probably Brook Lopez.
That's sort of what I wanted the next conversation
about to be. Aiden is going to obviously he's played. We've seen his work. Everyone looks back at the buzzer beater, but besides that, he's been playing great, putting up double doubles every I think almost every night. It's a pretty.
No, he's been on fire in the
very
playoffs.
Well. He could have a blow up game here as well without Giannis on the court. So we'll see what's going to happen, but. Obviously, I like the Suns a lot.
He could, but honestly, here's the thing. I think, the Bucks, you say what you will say about the importance of Giannis. He's an MVP. I think without him on the court, they lose this series. They need him out there if they want to win the finals. But this Ayton-Brook Lopez matchup is a little bit more interesting than a lot of people are giving it credit for, because Brook Lopez has been doing his thing defensively all season. In the playoffs, he got played off the floor a little bit in a couple games, but really held his own against there, even against some small ball lineups. So I think that Ayton Brook Lopez matchup is going to be interesting. And if Giannis isn't in the game, then I could see, honestly, Ayton, you're right, abusing that front court of Milwaukee. But if you sub out Bobby Portis for Depoy, help defender of the decade, like Giannis, I think Ayton could get clamped up. And I think there's a reverse of this that's important to pay attention
Without
to.
Antetokounmpo.
Who's guarding on Antetokounmpo? Is it Mikal Bridges? I mean, he's got the length, but he does not have the strength. He can't stop Giannis. I don't think so. Is it going to be Jay Crowder? He's got the strength, but he doesn't have the length. You know, it's a personnel game. And then what are they going to do? Are they going to throw Ayton at him? He matches up physically, but the Suns don't really have that second five. You know, if Ayton gets in foul trouble, where do the Suns go from there? Because then they really don't have that pick and roll threat.
Is it a Frank Kaminsky or a Cam Johnson? I don't know.
It's just not a Frank Kaminsky. It's just simply not a Frank Kaminsky.
You know, I gotta think you gotta go with Jay Crowder as the matchup.
Yeah, it's gonna be Jay, Mikal, and Ayton splitting time, but I think that time split is gonna be a lot off of Giannis's health, because honestly, I think full health Giannis, it would be a lot of Crowder and Ayton and less Bridges. But if Giannis isn't being as aggressive, if his knee is bothering him, if he's on a minutes restriction, I could see Mikal Bridges honestly, playing some good defense on him, and that might be something that determines the outcome of that game. But lots of interesting defensive matchups to talk about here for sure.
I mean, my thing with Giannis is that I think he just, it's not really, this isn't like a hot take at all, but he's just such a different player when he's not moving forward. That's why I value strength a lot more than length in these situations. Like putting a guy like Crowder, who first off can just be annoying as fuck, which is a one.
Yeah, he's a pest.
He just makes you so annoyed as a player. Like no matter who you are, what style you have, playing against an annoying defender will always make you play worse. I don't think it'll ever really make you play better, but whatever. I would say this though. Having Giannis move backwards, you want a guy that can stand in front of him and not let you just blunt and let him just bulldoze through. When Giannis has to take those fadeaway shots, which he does so pretty rarely, he doesn't really convert on them. And he doesn't.
Dude, did you see that one at the end of what game was that? I mean, this might be totally like, not related, but he hit a clutch fadeaway at the end of one game, and I was like, holy shit, Giannis! Like that was the first time.
No, and it's cool when he hits him, and like when he does hit him, you're like, wow, like if you could hit those consistently, like this is gonna be a scary.
You'd be that guy.
I was just gonna jump in after you, Joe. Real quick, right. We're talking as if Antetokounmpo is playing. He is doubtful tonight, and I think
he's not playing. I don't think
he isn't.
He's not playing game one.
But
I
the
think
Bucks
he'll come back mid-series, but like you're right. We're making some assumptions with the way we're talking about it. But also, Wilf, like here's the question: is there a series to talk about with?
There is. They did it. They did it last round. They did it without him.
They sometimes play better team basketball without Giannis on the floor.
They flow really well. Middleton commanding has been way better than I would have thought. Obviously, the Suns are, the favorite with Antetokounmpo off of the court, but you can't sleep on Middleton and Drew Holiday leading that team and kind of feeding the low post in a different way.
The reason that they won those games was because of 32 points here from Brook Lopez and 22 points here from Bobby Portis. And like in the finals, when you're playing one team and it's like the highest stake basketball that you're ever going to get, I don't see players like Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis being the ones that win the game for you. So that's why, I'm not trying to sound like, let me clarify. I'm not trying to sound disrespectful. This is an NBA roster. It's not a one-man team. Antetokounmpo has shown that he has his shortcomings, and the fact that the Bucks are still a successful team time and time again, season in, season out, with those shortcomings just goes to show the strength of this coaching staff, the strength of this team. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but when you're at this level, playing against Chris Paul, Devin Booker, I mean, I feel like the Suns have guys that can shoot. Like the Bucks don't have that same shooting personnel. Without Giannis, I don't think that there is the area of the game where the Bucks are better than the Suns. And that is why.
Yeah, Suns are better than the Hawks. Like, let's be like.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the Suns would have beat the Hawks handily in those last two games as well, playing on the same sort of basketball, because they have those two scoring punches with a lot of other fundamental role players who play the roles well. But the Suns are just a better version of that team. And without Giannis, I don't think the Bucks have a way of overcoming that. With all the respect given to Chris and Drew. Now, I guess I'm going to reposition this with a question to you, Will. Does that sound fair to you, or do you think the Bucks?
No, and it is. And I think that's where I was going to jump to. I think we're talking about coaching staff. Monty Williams and his staff. Monty Williams should have been coach of the year over Thibodeau, 100%.
Thibodeau just didn't deserve it. I mean,
no, he didn't. As a Knicks fan, did not deserve it. But Monty Williams, what he has done, and we can't forget DeAndre Ayton. His biggest role is within the pick and roll, and that's the Bucks don't have it the same type of way, and that's the key tonight. And also, the key is Booker not chucking shots, not going to when it goes bad. He chucks.
Dude, but in the finals, the lights are bright. Dude, Booker might do that. He's a
I
young,
know
he's
it's
a
gonna
young
be
star.
crazy.
He might say, "Oh, give me this at the elbow right now," and miss 3 mid-range shots, and all of a sudden they're in a 6-point hole.
He
But
does that when
obviously,
Chris Paul's injured, though.
That's what I
I
was
feel
gonna
like
say.
Yeah.
Chris Paul's there.
Chris Paul will keep him in check and keep him a little bit humbled. I
yeah,
do want to say this though, and I think this is like a little bit just like a really different angle to look at it from. Giannis is probably not playing tonight. I'm gonna assume he's not. He's doubtful. I don't know if that's confirmed.
he's not playing. He's not
Essentially, the Bucks are gonna be a different team tonight than they will be when Giannis is on the floor. This is not a hot take, but
True.
what I'm saying is this: as teams like, let's say like when the Hawks, I think one of the reasons why people think, oh, Giannis is out, the Hawks are gonna win this game, whatever. People don't realize though, these NBA players, they prepare for games. They're preparing against a team in a 7-game series. Or like once you get through like the third, fourth game, you're like, okay, I know this team. Like we've played them before. Players play differently night to night. But I would say this though, when you have Giannis on the floor versus not having Giannis on the floor, you're playing a different team. You're game planning a different team. The flow of the game is completely different. So in a way, I'm not saying by any means Giannis not playing is a benefit. But
no, I see what you're saying.
It will come with some benefit, with some actual like hard things to prepare for, with Giannis not being on the floor.
And it is interesting because that has been a historic weakness as well for the Bucks. Has just been their inability to adapt on their feet. You know, like change up their play style, really react to the defense that's being put out by the other coach. The game plan, like Budenholzer has sucked at that. That's why, you know, even with the Bucks' success, he's been on the chopping block for the past couple of years. And you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe Giannis missing a game. You know, they have a close game 1. Suns feel like they know the Bucks that are coming out in game 2, and they just flatten them. That's possible if Giannis plays. But, you know, I don't know. But I also think, you know, there's a lot of little matchups, like undercover matchups in this game that are going to be like heavily, heavily important. Like, who's PJ Tucker guarding?
I have no idea. Maybe Bridges.
You think PJ Tucker's guarding Bridges? Maybe.
Yeah. Wait. No. Quickly, I wanted to talk about the Bucks, what Joe was talking about earlier. With tonight, their key is knocking down the threes. That's where they're going to make their points because they're not going to be making points in the post the same way they usually do.
I mean, hey, do you remember that reminder game 2 games ago by Brook Lopez? He averaged 20-something on the Nets. Like, this guy can operate in the post. And I feel like now they know, like, if a possession's really going nowhere. You know how sometimes when the Bucks, you know, even when Giannis is on the floor, they have those offensive possessions where they dribble in and dribble out, and then someone
until there's 5 seconds on the shot clock.
Exactly, and then they're just fucking chuck up a piece of crap shot. Like sometimes that happens to the Bucks. I feel like now they know after that Brook Lopez performance, maybe once in a while you can go down there in the post. But I think you're right. I think threes are the key because without Giannis, you're gonna need Chris Middleton on fire. You're gonna need Drew Holiday on fire, and you're gonna need the Suns.
PJ Tucker, he's 30%. Like PJ Tucker's been 30% this playoffs. Like he needs to be on fire too.
No, he does. And here's what it's going to come down to. I think you're right. Half so. I think it's going to be hitting threes, but I also think that the Bucks are going to have to play around with how they guard the pick and roll because with Ayton and Chris Paul, this drop coverage shit that they do that they've been doing,
it's not going to cut.
Work. It's just not going to pan. Like Chris Paul, again, which game was that? I don't even remember. He was just running to the elbow and hitting a jump shot every time.
So well. I think Chris Paul is just literally like, I would argue to say this season, he's probably the most dangerous player to do that to just draw back on a pick and roll as the
Absolutely.
guy.
This could be his best season, honestly, especially as a team player too. Everyone just wrote off Chris Paul, and it's so awesome to see as a Chris Paul fan how awesome it would be for his legacy to win this year. And
I just wish he'd stop flopping.
But that's part of the game. Chris Paul's not a flopper. I would not describe him as that.
I know, but it's so weird because he has this double personality where he's like this gritty guy that's like getting it out the mud. You know, he's been an all-star and hasn't gotten it. Yeah. But then he also like just makes the most soft flops ever. Like he'll receive no contact and flail on the ground. And this is the kind of stuff that LeBron gets crucified.
Oh yeah, LeBron.
I'm not saying like, oh, this makes him a shitty player. I'm just saying like, come on, like don't do that. That's a little sus. Like,
yeah, but he's trying. I mean, like, listen, he's not tasted the gold. Like he's trying to win. Like I get it a little. Like, but like,
Yeah, and I don't
soft.
think he's caught up in the superficial. Oh, you draw too many fouls. Play
I think
style
he's
kind of
old enough.
bullshit either.
I think he's old enough where he really does not care about the image and stuff. Like I'm not. I mean, like I think he just really wants that championship, rightfully so too. But like,
I think you're right. And honestly, either way, Giannis champion, Chris Paul champion. I'm happy. Either way.
What you see is Chris Paul is actually the favorite to win MVP, which I mean, not crazy. Obviously, not crazy.
That is crazy, in my opinion. I feel like Ayton has a better chance to win him.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Ayton was the series MVP this last one.
But I just don't see that NBA doing that for marketing. I know that's crazy. They want to give it to Chris Paul or Booker.
That's what
no matter how well
that shit's a pop. Like, but then again though, I look back and I think Golden State plays the Cavs, they beat them, and Iguodala is named MVP. Like that's so anti-marketing. Like in that moment,
so anti-marketing.
Clay and Steph. And, like that's not marketing.
Not even Draymond. So I can't tell, Will, are you lagging out the yang, or are you like trying to say something and stopping yourself?
I think he's lagging.
Okay.
No, I'm talking. Sorry. Who are? Okay. Can you guys see me now?
Yeah.
Who are you guys' like dark horse, your X Factor player for this finals? For me, it's Chris Middleton of the Bucks. If he doesn't play well, if he doesn't make the shots, they don't have any shot.
Yeah. No, but I think you're absolutely right. Wilf, I think you're 100% correct, but I think it's going to be Drew of the Bucks because I think his defense is going to be just as impactful as what they need from him on offense. And if he can't deliver in either area, which he has a lot on his plate in this finals, the Bucks don't stand a chance. They gave up the first round picks for him. They shipped off Bledsoe for him. What's the big difference between this Bucks team and last year's Bucks team? Him. He's the guy. He's the guy. If the Bucks win this series, it is because of the resilience and the extra, just that much that they added to this.
It's the better defense. This year they were able to get over the hump.
And better playmaking, and I think it's also he has a much better mindset, mentality, and attack than Eric Bledsoe does. So I think there's a lot that Holiday brings to the table that's really important for the Bucks. And they bet heavy on him. They put all their chips in that basket, and it can pay off. But he's that guy. He's that dark horse.
I totally agree. I think Drew. I really think there's no success chance without Drew playing like a beast. Because tonight he's the man. He's getting the reins and he's gonna take over. He's got to play the offense and the defense. He's got to run the court. Like that's gonna be him. But flipping to the Suns side, my dark horse, and I'm just gonna not be a mainstream because I don't really want to name like obviously any of the top three guys. I think Jay Crowder really could be a person that could, if he plays extremely solid defense and plays the role player role and plays well on offense as well and hits those threes when he's asked to, I don't see the Suns losing because
Jay's always that guy.
That's what he was for the Heat. Like
that's what he was for the Jazz.
Assuming that Booker and Paul and Aiden, none of them get injured or anything stupid happens, like I think if he can play well, because if he plays well defensively, that's going to be Giannis like struggling, and I don't know. And also, I'm wondering too, like, you got to think about this. Like when we talked about Mitchell being injured, right, a while back, and I remember we were like, oh, how injured really is he? Giannis is not playing the first game of the finals. He's got to be injured to not be playing in that.
It's different because I think Mitchell, was it an ankle?
It was an ankle.
It's a different injury. The way Antetokounmpo we were talking about, he's so lengthy. I am very sure he's not going to be 100%, and they're going to be using him a lot as like a decoy, and that's where Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton come even more clutch because when Antetokounmpo is just there playing as the number one, they know subconsciously like he's not going to be getting.
Like this conversation about Giannis's injury just makes me sad because I think you're right. We could see decoy Giannis instead of MVP Giannis finally, after staying loyal to the Bucks and all these years of, some people saying he's falling short in the playoffs. He gets to the finals. Imagine this is his year in the finals and he doesn't play. Like that.
They still have a shot, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't have a shot, but I'm just saying like he has a shot to play. I just wish it were more ideal circumstances because like what kind of legacy definer is that if either in his only finals his team gets swept and he doesn't play, or they win without him. Like that would be crazy.
Yeah,
Either one of those,
him,
I
it's
feel
still
like,
if they win without him, it's still his win, like completely.
It was like 2015 or 2017, like Carson Wentz on the Eagle. He had the MVP season, and then
yeah,
they
but
win
then
without
Carson
him.
Wentz completely fell off after that.
I know, but like it's the same idea where you have a great season and then the team lifts it up. But it would show so much for the city. This is so exciting because they're two such small market cities with such loyal fans. Like we have to think about the fans. These fans have gone through so much struggle, especially the Suns fans since 2010. It's just
Yeah,
awesome
dude.
they're getting this experience.
You're right. You're right. Dude, you want to know who's getting the most awesome experience though? Torrey Craig. He's getting a ring regardless. He's just out there running around. He started the season on the Bucks and then got traded to the Suns. So regardless of the outcome, he's catching a ring. He pulled a Dion Waiters.
That happened with what's his name too? The JaVale McGee, I think.
Yeah.
That's such a JaVale McGee move. I feel like he's won
such a
so
McGee
many.
move,
Yeah.
right? That is like that's the ultimate NBA finesse is when you're in that position, getting paid like millions to just run around. He's like, guys, we're cooling. Whoever wins, it's just sportsmanship, guys.
How many games do you think this series goes to, and who do you guys think is winning?
Okay, well let's say Giannis is playing for these predictions
Sure,
because
yeah.
we have to go
When is
one
he
way or the
playing?
other. There's too
When?
much uncertainty whether like, oh, is Giannis playing? Is he not? I say we make two predictions, one where he is playing, one where he's not. If Giannis is playing, Bucks in 7. If Giannis is not playing, Suns in 5.
I have Suns in 6 for both. I just love Phoenix. I've been riding with them for a couple weeks now. I said in my prediction it'd be Suns, Sixers, and Suns win. I still think they're gonna win, but it would be a different type of win in 6. With Antetokounmpo out, I see more blowouts, but
Yeah.
I mean, game one's going to be highly contested because there's going to be nerves. They're going to be going their hardest, and it won't matter all about skill. I think once everyone starts getting used to the finals, the better team will win, and that's where I see the Suns.
Reasonable.
I'm thinking, with Giannis, I've got Bucks in 6. Without Giannis, I've got Suns in 7. But I like to put a caveat. If Giannis is joining like game 4 or later, I don't know. If Giannis is joining game 4 or later, I think we could see Bucks in 7 or Suns in 7. I think that I wonder like if Giannis like joining later though, like he's on the court and like they said like he's doing stuff on the court. So it's like I wonder if it's like
And it was no structural damage. It's a hyperextended knee. Like I've had that before.
So if he comes back and he's like rested up, that could be like a boost. And if he's like actually okay, but then again, like knee injuries obviously are way different than like,
especially for 7-footers versus someone who's 5'7". It's like nuts.
And the way he plays, like who knows if he can last the whole game with this injury? Like they're really gonna need to figure out the best way to use him.
If it is no structural damage, like Wacker even said, like if it's no structural damage, like it's really just about like once it's rested, like it's fine. Like it's not really like gonna be like I don't think it's gonna be like a lagging injury that like. But then again, we're not doctors, so like, I don't know if
they might know stuff internally that we don't know. Like Giannis could be out for the series, and they might not want to be telling us or telling like the media because of the game plan.
No. If it went to 7, there was a lot of optimism within the Bucks organization that Giannis would play against.
I'm saying yes, but they could be saying that. Like they could be. You know what I mean?
That's very smart for them to not.
Yeah.
Like I said, like. It's like game planning for two completely different teams. So why make it easy?
I mean, of course they would say that, but like you can run yourself in a conspiracy circle all you want if you're saying you're playing media games, you know.
And no, that's what I love about.
Do we know?
Yeah, the fact that he's doubtful game 1 really concerns me. Really concerns me because we say he could have played. He could have played game 7, but it's game 1 of his first NBA Finals ever. He really must be not able to go because he's a fighter.
But doubtful's better than out, at least. Like at least we know.
Better.
You know, like there's a chance that he's playing. You know, like there's a chance.
Dude, and maybe hey, Wilf, turning this back on you. Maybe they're just saying he's doubtful, so they game plan for the non-Giannis team,
and then he plays.
That drops 45.
I've never seen. It's very rare players play when it says doubtful, but we'll see.
Yeah, I know. I always know because of fantasy. I always say doubtful. I'm like, well, he's basically fucking out. Why even have doubtful as a category? Like, dude.
This is the most excited I've been since the NBA Finals because it's like these two teams no one would have thought. But I'm sorry, not no one would have thought. Maybe Bucks, but not like Warriors Cavs in 2016, 17. Or sorry, 15 and 16.
Yeah. So I think I agree with what you said. You were lagging out a little bit on my end, but I think you were talking about that this is the most excited you've been for an NBA Finals in a long time because of the unpredictability, the small marketness, paying off the fans. That all coming full circle, and I could not agree more. Very, very excited. I think we've talked through this stuff pretty thoroughly. We've given you guys our predictions. And now that's all there's really left to do is watch the games and learn more from game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, all the way through whatever game it goes to. But regardless, we are going to have a super entertaining finals with 2 super talented teams. And I'm going to be watching the whole time, and I hope you guys are too. But if you get bored during a commercial break, a halftime, anything like that, feel free to watch all of the Vandy Blitz podcasts that will be coming out during the finals. We will be having more finals coverage later. This is episode 1. And we're just as excited as you guys to sort of talk about this stuff and watch it and discuss. So make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, like. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out, guys.